Hi everyone, it's me Darlene. I was just at Walmart, as you can tell by the beginning of this video. I moved to my parking area in my apartment complex. Not my parking area, but the only parking space that I can find that has some shade. Walmart had no shade. I'm going to just talk a little bit about the food I just bought, and then I'm going to give you an update on my neighbor, because I have been asked by maybe 3 different people if I'm still friends with her. Those of you who have been with me for a while, you remember that I talked about her a little bit, so we are going to get to that in just a minute. But first, the groceries. You saw me buy. I got my delicious London broils. I will cut those in half and freeze them as half steaks, because a lot of times I'll want like a piece of steak and a piece of chicken. I don't need to cook the entire steak at once, although yesterday I cooked a steak that was almost 2 pounds and I ate it all. So that was yummy. So the London broils, love those. I got a package of chicken thighs, and I will cook those in the air fryer, and I've decided I'm not going to use much for seasonings, a little bit of salt, and I might sprinkle some cayenne pepper when I eat them if I want. I like spicy hot chicken. I also do use hot sauce, like Tabasco sauce, every now and then, and when I do, it's usually on chicken. Then I got cubed. I looked at the package. They call it cubed steaks, but it's pork. I've only ever tried the beef. In my entire life have I never had a cubed pork steak. So I bought one of those to try, and they're cheaper than the beef, and I do eat pork. You know, now that I've done my 6 months of carnivore testing, high-fat carnivore, I should say, testing high-fat carnivore, I knew I was sticking to high-fat carnivore, so the butter is not going away from me. But I did say after 6 months of mostly just beef that I was going to be including other meats. But again, I just love beef, and the pork and chicken can get me congested a little bit, the histamines in that meat, and I don't suffer like that with beef at all. Beef is just my jam, you know? So that's what I mostly eat. Did I get something else? Oh, and then I got some spare ribs. I almost bought pork neck bones, because when I go to Derek's to watch TV, I like some kind of food that I can really just like pick on throughout the whole show. I like stuff like that. And but I didn't get any. I don't know. And they do have the gizzards, not the gizzards and hearts mix, but just gizzards. I love the gizzards. And when I buy those, I will let you know. Everybody wanted me to say how to cook that, and it's not even worth a video, because all I do is I bring the water to a boil. I just cook them in water, but then I turn it down to just a simmer. Keep an eye on it. Maybe I might have to add water, and I simmer them for like an hour. That's it, and then they're nice and tender, and that's how I eat them. Just a little bit of salt in the water. I don't know if I said that. That's how I eat them. I know a lot of people cook them in butter or different things. I'm not that fancy. I just want to eat. I just want to eat my meat. So I'll be doing some gizzards. Definitely like the first episode of Big Brother. I'm going to go to Derek's with some goodies, and maybe I can do a video on that. I could make the dip. Everybody wants to know about the sour cream dip that I make that Derek likes. I could actually make that, even though I don't measure anything. You can see like how many shakes, the hot sauce, whatever. Oh, and the bill came up to like $87 and change for the meat and the butter. I bought 6 pounds of butter. You know, that'll last me a while, I guess. I don't know. I have upped the amount of meat that I'm eating. I'm still trying to get 1.5 sticks of butter at least in my belly per day. And all is good. All is good. And I know I told you guys that I would weigh myself now. Since the last update, I'm not weighing myself till August 1st. But you guys aren't going to get an update on August 1st. You're going to get an update when I lose 10 pounds. I just like to go chunks at a time where I'm not on the scale. So I'm going to weigh myself August 1st, and whenever I lose 10 more pounds, you will get that update. My neighbor, those of you, like I said, who have been here for a while, know that I had a neighbor. I still have that neighbor. Her name is Bonnie, and I talked about her several times. When I had my mother, I only would run into her a couple times and just say hi. I did ask her if she wanted to meet my mother, so she did come into my apartment just to meet my mother. She was very nice. She gave me her phone number and said, you ever need anything, just let me know. If you need to run out and she needs to have somebody sitting with her, I will come over. And that was really nice, but I never took her up on that. After my mother died, we were just, side by side. There's like a alley, I don't know, between us. We're in separate buildings, but we're side by side. So if we both exit our apartment doors, we would see each other. And then we park over there. So like if she's coming down the path, she could see me if I'm outside, or if I'm coming down the path, I could see her on her patio, because she was out on her little patio all the time. So my mother died in March, and so it was still not 120 degrees, and so when she would see me coming, from my car to my apartment, she would ask me to sit down. And the first time I did that, I was there an hour, and I was very concerned about that being a problem for me, because I still wasn't a chit-chat kind of person at all. I'm still not, unless I'm in a bar. Everybody seems to think that the old me is completely changed. No, there's still a lot of things about me that are the old me. It's just that when I'm out in a bar with the music, knowing that I'm going to dance, knowing I'm going to hear music, that makes me a different person. And I'm just like way more comfortable. And this is all without drinking, because I know some of you still think that I'm drinking again. I'm not. And I had said I'm not going to bother explaining that I'm not, but I'm going to say it right now. No, none of this has to do with drinking. I promise. So that first time I was concerned, because I was there for an hour, and I was a workaholic then. I was still doing my fabric business and YouTube. And so, and I know I talked about it on some videos. And then there were a couple of other neighbors too that would stop and talk to me. I was like, oh my God, I can't take this. But as for Bonnie, she quickly got okay with me saying I can't today. At the beginning, she'd be like, oh yes, you can. You come and sit down. And I told her, I said, really, when I say I can't, it's because I can't. I have to go in and do something. So she was okay with that. And when I was sitting and talking with her, if I said I really have to go in now, she got to be okay with that. And it was helpful because I didn't have my mother all of a sudden, so I really had no one to talk to. So I did talk to her. I cried to her, and it was all good. And Derek was really happy that I had someone. The only things that bugged me at that point is that she got to the point that almost every time I would stop to sit down with her or say I can't, she would always say, you need to quit working so hard. You need to quit working. And I got tired of explaining to her that working is what I'm doing. It's not that I'm doing it like, I don't know. It's hard to explain to people that I actually loved what I was doing. And I know, is it an obsession of some sort? I guess, because there's other things I could be doing, but that was what I wanted to be doing. Just like now, I want to be going out and dancing. That's all I feel like doing. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, other than still continue to do YouTube for you and other things that might pop in, but it's just, I'm happy with what I'm doing right now, so I'm doing it, and I was happy with the fabric then, and that's what I was doing. And I was running sales every weekend, so I had to, keep up with all of that, and the packaging and all that. So I started to get tired of her constantly saying it to me, and then, as time went on, so it was good with a few exceptions, up until like November, when I started changing my life. And there is a video of me crying in the Walmart parking lot last November. I'll link to that in the description, as embarrassing as it is. I'll link to that in the description, and I'll also put it on the end screen. That was really the moment that I started to change my life, because it's like I had started to crash because I didn't know what to do with myself, because my whole life was spent taking care of my mother, my narcissistic mother, and now I wanted to start doing something else. And I did. You guys will remember that I was like starting by just trying to find something to wear. And I went to a bar, I believe in November, with Derek. It was the first time I wore my new clothes that I had just bought. And I remember it was Hairspray Nation, but we were sitting at the back of the bar. I didn't dance or anything. The first time I danced was New Year's Eve, you know, and it just went from there. So, I had gone out. Now, I went out a few times when Derek was playing that summer, and maybe a couple of other times, but it was New Year's Eve was the first time that I danced, and she was okay with me going to see Derek play. But then when I started having a life, and she could tell that I was becoming a happier person, the friendship just started to fucking fall apart. All of a sudden, and I was shopping like the little local thrift stores, not the one that I go to now. And I would come home with just even shirts just for being in my car vlogs and stuff like that. And she didn't want me to shop at the thrift stores. You can do better than that. I don't know why you need to shop at a thrift store. And I got my first pair of thrift store boots, you know, early on. I had bought a pair of boots at Walmart, I think, and then when I got the thrift store boots, and I liked them even better than the ones that I got, she still knocked those down. She, you know, you don't need to be shopping at a thrift store. You've got money. You can buy better things. And I was like, I don't need better. What better do I need? I have boots that I fucking love that I just bought. I can't do better than that anywhere, because you guys know how much I was shopping, going to JCPenney. I had even gone to Target, Kohl's. I was always at Walmart. I couldn't find jack shit out there that I liked. Nothing. And if I liked something, it wasn't in my size, which was significantly bigger then, you know? So it started by her not liking me to shop, and then when I started going out, she didn't want me to go out. She didn't like the areas I was going to. You're gonna get shot. You're gonna get shot. That's all she kept saying, is I was going to get shot if I go to Memphis. And I'm like, then let me fucking get shot. What do you want me to do? Continue living in my apartment like a fucking recluse for the rest of my life? No, I'm going out, bitch. No. I mean, it really started to upset me and annoy me. And then as I started buying more clothing, she started putting down my clothing. And what are some of the other big things? It was just the constant telling me that I should not be going out. You don't need to go out. Oh, when I really started talking to her about men, because I was doing the dating sites and I was talking to you guys about it, she did not want me to, not only did she not want me to meet a man, she didn't even want me to think about the fact that I could have a man one day. They're all no good. You're just going to get yourself in hurt, or you're going to end up marrying somebody that's bad for you. I'm like, I'm not getting married. You're going to end up, you know, living with somebody, and that's going to be the wrong move. I'm like, I'm not going to live with somebody. And it just was nonstop, and I really was dreading running into her. And then I know there's even more. There's more stuff that she bitched about. And it was just constant. And you know who it was reminding me of, right? It was reminding me of my mother. All of a sudden, she was turning into my mother. But then in March, this is July, this is 2023. So back in March, we were saying something, and I just said something. Oh, now I remember the other thing. She started telling me what to say and not say. And even if I wanted to just make a phone call, and she knew I was nervous about making a phone call to whatever, or like when I went to Social Security, and she would always say like, well, what you're gonna say is you're gonna say this, and it was always in that kind of a tone, like she'd be mad if I didn't report back that that's exactly what I fucking said. So I had told her a few times, Bonnie, please stop telling me what to say. And I always swore with her, and it was never a big deal. But then suddenly now it would be like, you know, the tone was just all different. And I was so uncomfortable and so miserable. So one day in March, I sat down to talk to her, and I can't remember exactly what we were talking about. And I used the word fat to describe myself. I have zero issue with the word fat. There's nothing wrong with fat. I love fat. I eat a lot of fat. It's a good word. But I just happened to say something. We were talking about something, and I said, yeah, well, when you're fat like me, and she got so mad. I don't ever want to hear you talk about yourself like that. She says, don't you say fat. I got up and I was like, Bonnie, I'm fucking done. It's exactly what I said to her. I turned around and I took a couple of steps toward my apartment, and I turned around and I said, you're not going to ever fucking tell me what to say or not say again. And I took a couple more steps, and all she did was bitch at me while I was trying to go back into my apartment. I had to unlock the door. Instead of something like, oh my God, darling, I'm so sorry. You're right. I'm always saying shit to you. It was none of that. Well, you just go right on in there and blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, oh my fucking God. My mother came back from the dead. And I went in, and the only thing I was sick about is the fact that I have to see her again. How am I going to do that? So at first, I found that I could walk back into my apartment just like on the lawn where all the dog shit is. So if she was on her patio, and I could bypass the view of us, you know, having to look at each other eye to eye. And it was so uncomfortable. And then, of course, Derek, he said, Ma, why don't you park on the other side of your building? And I never did that because she said to never do that, because that was the bad side of the apartment. All right, you can figure out what I'm talking about probably, right? And she just didn't want me to park there ever. You're going to have your car broken into. And I'm like, I'm literally in the same apartment complex. What do I have to fucking worry about? It was just one thing after another. And even on my side of the apartment, if somebody had my space, I would park someplace else when I was coming home at night. She didn't want me to park facing in the other direction. She wanted to be right in front of my apartment. And it was like, Bonnie, please, I'm doing what I want. And I kept saying that to her. I'm going out when I want, where I want, with who I want. I'm going out. I'm going to meet boys. I'm going to meet them. I don't care what you fucking say about it. I'm telling you, she would be insane right now, knowing the stuff that I have done since March. You know, how I do things, how much I go out. So I parked at the other side. So now when I come out of my apartment, if we're both coming out, we would see each other. But I can tell when I'm opening the door, like I can hear if she's outside, and I just shut my door and I wait until she's done. But then when I come out, instead of having to walk and that she would see me if she's on her patio, I just turn and walk down that little alleyway, and that's where my car is. I couldn't thank Derek enough. And I had that idea, but I was just like, I can't park there. Those are the bad people. I mean, jeez. You know? So I'm very happy parking there. I don't care. I don't care who's there. There's bad people in all colors, right? Did you get the point that she didn't like the color of the people on that side? And that too was upsetting to me. I have to get used to that here in the South. There's a lot of prejudice. I didn't grow up with that in Maine. There was no prejudice. And see how easily it can be taught? She made me worry about that. I would have never been worried about it. It never even would have occurred to me, right? So anyway, so I park there all the time, and only a couple times have I opened the door and she's walking down the path. So again, I shut the door. I don't ever take that path, ever. And I only just park behind my building now. And I do hear her on her patio all the time, sometimes talking to a neighbor, sometimes on her phone. But I don't have to go by her. I just turn and go back. So that's the story about me and my neighbor. And you don't know how much stress that relieved at that point, that I didn't have to, you know, sit down and chat with her ever. Oh, and she used to call me now. She was calling me. She would call me and say, "Where's your car? I don't see your car in the parking lot. Did you park where I told you not to park?" I was like, fuck, yes, I fucking did that on purpose, so you would call me. So that's how it turned out. And I don't need that toxicity in my life, because I lived with it and I didn't need it. And now I'm free and I go out and I don't miss her, not one tiny little bit. Okay? Okay, end of story. I do have some other things that I will be talking about soon, I hope. Things that you guys keep asking me about. Ask me your questions. I love the comments. I know some of you are still in shock that I say that. I'm in shock that I say that. But it does give me ideas for videos, and it gives me something to do, especially when I'm in the bar. I can check, because I review every comment, and then I either delete it or I send it through. So it gives me stuff to do. But there are some other things coming up that you're going to be hearing about. And no, it's not sewing or crafts. So you can stop telling me that you want crafts. Okay. Even when you say, "I know that you don't want to do crafts right now, but I'm really hoping you change your mind." You think because you know, soften it up there at the beginning, you understand, but you still throw it in there. It still makes me feel guilty. It does. It makes me feel guilty. But I'll get over it, right? I got over my neighbor. I can get over you too. All right, you guys. All right. Have I said all right enough times? I'm gonna stop this minute. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll be back with more soon. Bye.